Peter Janunas from Gears to You in Riverside, Illinois.
And with you,
together,
with you, Chris Valadez from Brookfield, and together we are the Spoken Wheel Podcast. What number are we on?
Episode 8.
Ocho.
Yeah.
We should do our own Spanish.
The Ocho.
The Ocho episode.
See.
You're done, right?
That's it.
Well, Pete, right, we're gonna have some fun talking about safety stuff today, right? That's kind of what the scope of the episode is. So, we were chit-chatting earlier before we started recording, and running rear lights on my bike. It's kind of controversial, but I love to ride with my bike with a constant rear flashing light. So I know that there's some recent law, and we're in Illinois that has allowed us to actually run a constant rear flashing light. That used to not be the case. Do you run with a rear light on your bike all the time?
I do. I didn't up until about a year or so ago.
Oh, you like to live dangerous.
I do a lot of riding in the morning, and so I did when it was early in the morning. I had to.
Turn it off at when the sun comes up?
Turn it off when the sun comes up.
All right.
But now I ride it all the time, and it's cool because some of these now have cameras in them too.
Yeah. In fact, I ride one with the camera.
Right.
Do you have a fancy one like I do, or?
I have the same one you do, but without the camera.
Well,
so
you got to upgrade.
fancy.
You got to upgrade. Yeah. No, the camera is interesting because I have this rear light. I won't throw the brand out, but there's a brand of lighting system. So you have a rear flashing light that runs constantly. It has a built-in camera which captures anything that happens behind you on the bike. It's motion activated, so it's not constantly recorded. You can also set it to constant. It also has a built-in radar. Have you used the radar thing?
I use the radar,
Okay.
and I have it set up to my computer on my front, so it beeps when I hear a car where a car's coming behind me, and it's great. I mean,
it's slick. I'll tell you, it's an investment. It comes with a cost.
They're not cheap, but they're
cheap.
super cool. It's worth every penny.
Yeah, honestly, just for safety, if you guys are looking, we'll put some recommendations in the comments. But we really would love to see everyone riding with the rear light. I can't tell you, one of the things in big groups that I ride in, I always tell everyone needs to have a rear light at the bare minimum. I also ride with a front flasher. Do you have a front flashing light?
I don't. I have a front light. Again, I ride in the mornings. I usually don't ride with the front light on unless it's dark out. I kind of keep going back and forth on that.
Okay.
Mostly because I always forget to charge it.
Well, that's
really what it comes
You're charging
down
the bike, you're charging the lights, you're charging all.
For me, it's not as easy. I have it kind of set up in the front where it's not as easy to just pull off as it is in the rear one. So I have to. It's a little bit more of a work, and
You also like to wear bright colors, though, too. I'm a black kind of guy, and you're in your orange and green.
I wear a lot of orange.
Yeah.
I had this morning. I had gloves and jersey and helmet were all orange.
Matching. Your whole kit was orange, and your socks too.
Yeah,
okay, good. Well, bright colors, as we're talking safety, are important. Anything you could do to make yourself visible on the road is something that we would suggest you do. Have bright, high-vis colors. Anything that is basically not black is good. But rear lights, a front light, like I said, I like to run just a little bit of a front flashing light just so oncoming traffic can see me as I'm coming through. And the rear light is, for me, critical. And let's also talk helmets, Pete, because I know it was big for both of us.
I am a big proponent of helmet. I always
all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, all the
Running
time.
to the grocery store.
Running to the grocery store every time. I mean, always. And I've installed it in my kids. Like fear of God, they have to wear a helmet. So now they don't ride bikes because they don't want to wear a helmet. But yeah, I just always wear a helmet. I tell all my family, friends, everyone to wear a helmet.
Same. I mean, I will run 3-4 blocks down. I'll jump on my bike. I have fun helmets that I'll do just to kind of like run to the library. It's kind of they're kind of like dorkier on purpose. I kind of but any helmet you have is a good helmet.
Yeah,
but,
and they're so much lighter now, and so much the technology is so much better than it was 25, 30, 10 years ago.
They also look cooler now.
They look much cooler, and they come in orange.
Yeah, they come in orange. Pete's favorite color, orange. Yeah. But no, wear a helmet, wear a light. As even though the days are getting longer, we're coming into the summer months here in the Chicagoland area. The days are longer. You're going to be out in the daylight. That doesn't mean that cars 2-3 blocks away are going to be able to see you. So we encourage you to find any bike light thing. Go to your local bike shop, go on Amazon, go wherever you need to go. Find a bike light, put it on the rear of your bike, please. And please always wear a helmet. It is extremely important. That's going to segue into our topic, I think, here for today, Pete. We have a guest here today, as someone who's been part of our cycling community for a number of years, and someone who rides a bike and who is actually an attorney who is, in fact, I hate to say it, but
we won't hold that against him.
We don't hold it against him. No, yeah, he's the one that we like. Right? Yeah. But he's an attorney. Brendan Kevenides is an attorney here in the Chicagoland area. In fact, I always say this, but Brendan, your card is on my refrigerator, just in case something happens to me where my family needs to get a hold of someone if I'm ever in an auto/bike accident.
God forbid.
Unfortunately, you're going to be one of the first calls if maybe when that happens. But welcome, Brendan. Maybe if you want to give a quick intro of yourself and we'll kick into it.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I hope that I don't hear from you like that.
Yes.
I like to hear from you, but not because you were in a crash. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for introducing me. I'm Brendan Kevenides. I live in the city of Chicago. I bike daily, and my law firm, we're a personal injury firm, and all we do is represent people in bike crashes. That's our focus.
That's great that you have your specialty is primarily for bike crashes and an incident. That's really important, obviously, to us that, Pete and I, we ride, we have friends that ride every single day. That's obviously very important for us to have a resource from there. But maybe Brendan, talk to us why you focus your specialty on specifically for bike related incidents. I'm really curious. I've never actually asked you this question. How did you come to do only bike stuff in your practice?
That's a good question. It's what I know because I've been riding a bike my whole life. It was quite a few years ago, 15 or more years ago, and I was representing people in slip and falls, medical malpractice, all sorts of stuff. And I represented an old guy. He was well into his 80s, who was biking downstate when he got hit and killed by a driver. I forget how I got the case. I was with a different firm, and I represented him and started writing about biking and the law. I created a blog, started writing more and more about different topics, and people started to call me about cases. And I got more cases and started representing people exclusively who were in bike crashes. So here I am.
Well, thank you for taking that on. I mean, as a cyclist, as we all three of us are, riding just about every day, it's important that you do that. But Pete and I were also talking. There was a sort of a famous cyclist in the area by the name of George Christensen, who unfortunately was just lost. So George was a very avid. He was, I think, in his 70s or so, and he very avid cyclist, knew the streets, knew the course. He was always traveling. He had a blog, very well known in the Chicagoland area for some of his riding on bikes and so forth. But unfortunately, we just recently lost George to a bike auto accident a few weeks ago. I believe it was in South Carolina, and as Pete and I were talking about this, it's sad. There's always lessons to learn here, Brendan. But maybe I'm not sure if you could talk about that specific topic there with George specifically. I don't know if you know any of the details, but.
Yeah, I did not know George, but as a member of the bike community here, I certainly knew of him. Everybody either knew him or knew of him. He had a ton of miles under his belt. He really did. He rode all around the world, did some incredible rides. And I have to say that when I hear about an incident with someone with that much experience, someone that's been riding for that long, getting hit by a car, that one really scares me, right? Because the idea is that it could happen to anyone, which gets back to the idea, wear bright colors, be as visible as you can, because, if it can happen to a guy like George Christensen, it could probably happen to anyone.
Yeah, that's Pete. We have this story maybe of a recent incident, kind of linking back to a camera. We were riding together, right? This is the one.
You, me, and another guy were riding through. Maybe LaGrange, it doesn't matter. And some guy in a car flew past us and came really close to us and cut us both off, all three of us off, and then took off. And then you had the camera on, or maybe our friend.
I think our friend had the camera on.
He had the camera, sent us the video, and then you took him to the
I went to the police station.
Police,
I
yeah.
was like, this guy was right. I mean, he buzzed me inches away from me. He was, swearing from his car window. We were it was an early morning ride. There was only 3 of us. We weren't consuming the road. I mean, there was plenty. There's an overtake law, and I know, Brendan, you have some knowledge on the 3-foot passing law. So, I'll ask you to comment on it, but he did not honor the 3-foot passing law that we have here in the state of Illinois. And he buzzed right against me. I think I sort of yelled, in some haste, 3 feet to pass, like I always usually do. And he was screaming and yelling. He was just being really, really ignorant.
And this was, 20 feet after a stop sign.
Yeah.
So he accelerated quick off the line from that.
Yeah, it was very aggressive. But I mean, Brendan, is that appropriate to do? Should I take that video footage to police? Do you advise that?
I think that's a great idea. And what you're discussing, we generally refer to as a punishment pass, right? The driver, for whatever reason, just doesn't like that you're there, so he punishes you by coming close. I think having a camera is fantastic. I mean, you mentioned that incident. I had a client who was hit in a similar way. The person took off, and luckily there was a person driving right behind this driver who had a camera on their dashboard, and they chased the offending driver down, and I got whole video, this sort of chase, right? And we caught them. We found out who they were. We sued them, and we held them responsible. So the 3-foot passing is the law here in Illinois. Some other states have, wider. I think some other states have 4 feet or 5 feet. Here in Illinois, it's 3 feet. But riding with a video camera is a great way of making sure that you punish the punishment passer, right? And that way we can find them and get them.
And the cameras have gotten so much better now. I mean, you can see from just a couple of years ago, the different companies have them out. You can see, I've got guys I ride with have one in front and in back, a camera, and he records everything. And so we see all the stuff that's going on in our rides. So it's so much better than it used to be. So.
Yeah, I think having a camera, at least it doesn't add any safety like a helmet or colors, but it adds that element of I have some recourse when and if something happens. And Brendan, right, that's helpful. So I believe, again, hopefully my family never calls you, but if they do, you're probably hopefully getting some video footage along with that. And but I do have a question, about the 3-foot passing law. Maybe if you can help explain that to our viewers, maybe they don't understand. Cyclists and non-cyclists alike, maybe what does that mean for them?
Oh, sure. So if you're at a car and you're passing someone on a bike, you have to give them at least 3 feet of space when you're passing them to give them, enough room to maneuver. One of the things that can be really scary on a bike is feeling like you have no room for error. Like if you swerve a little bit, you're going to be in traffic. A driver giving you at least 3 feet of space gives you a little wiggle room there. So that's important.
So if the driver, and I know the answer here, but it's a leading question. So, but if the driver doesn't have 3 feet to pass within that lane, what can the driver? What rights does the driver have at that point? Can the driver exceed into other traffic? And I'm trying to lead you into that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the driver's going to be able to pass even if there's a double yellow, giving you enough space. I mean, and the driver either has to wait behind you, right? Or they have to give you 3 feet. And even if that requires going into the oncoming lane, if it's safe to do so, that's what they should do.
I don't know about you, Pete, but that's one of the things that some driver, almost every day, does not give me 3 feet to pass, and I usually catch up to them at the stoplight or red light, or you have that awkward moment where I'm sitting, I'm staring at the guy who just aggressively passed me, and for a reason I'm like, and if it's nice out and the windows are down, I'll stare into the window a little bit and maybe kind of give him my hey buddy, 3 feet to pass, and I've had many people say, I gave you 3 feet, and I kind of try to take my time to educate them in that quick 20-second interaction that I can. I say, listen, I'm like, you are allowed to actually go into the opposite lane of travel. I'm like, you to pass me, give me 3 feet, give me 14 feet, give me 30 feet if you have it. Give me as much room as humanly possible, because it could be, I'm just not a guy with a beard on a bike. I'm a guy with I'm a dad, we have a family, I'm more than just a cyclist, who's out there, in a all black, skin tight outfit, because I wear all black, right? So, but I got a flashing light, so.
But I think it's also important is when you're confronting these people is not to go and start yelling at them or whatever. Just, casually, maybe tap on a window or ask them to roll down the window and explain to them the law, explain to them the rule of 3 feet, nice and casually. And hopefully they get it. Hopefully they understand that it is 3 feet. But if you do it nicely, I think it's much better than, I have stories of people doing stuff. But, just be cool. That's all I'm asking.
Brendan, what's so with the 3 foot passing law, do you have any stories that you could share with us that, where that's not been honored, where that is, has that been used to any sort of legal advantage?
Well, I mean, understand that if someone passes you very closely and nothing happens, you're angry, you're annoyed, you're frustrated, nothing's going to happen. I mean, if you call the police and you tell them somebody passed me really close, nothing's going to happen, right? So where we tend to use the 3 foot passing rule is if someone does get hit, we'll sort of throw it in there with the allegations.
Okay.
It's something we can use. It's another sort of tool in our toolbox to go after drivers who have been caught, who have caused harm. But I don't want to overstate it and what it can really do. I mean, like I said, I'm not aware of any police department ever giving a driver in Illinois a ticket just for close passing.
Oh,
there was no contact.
Okay, I was going to start racking them up for this. Yeah, for the city of Chicago.
So did the police ever do anything with you? When you...
No. Yeah. So that's a good question. So he called me back, and the funny story is I'm not going to call this gentleman out specifically, but he's part of the school district here in Brookfield, and I thought there was an opportunity. We have. And Brendan, I know you're familiar with this from Ride Illinois. There's the education program that we hand off to the Ride Illinois specifically has for driver education programming. So I thought it was an opportunity to kind of contact a local high school and again say, hey, this is a real opportunity for you to make sure that drivers and drivers education understand what the 3 foot passing looks like. You leverage the tools and information that is currently available for young drivers and even for non-young drivers. I mean, I've been driving for 30 odd years, and so I still sometimes have to be refreshed on laws as laws get changed and passed. Does the state of Illinois or I don't know, and maybe I'm not paying attention, but how do we know when laws change that impact cyclists that are important for us?
Yeah, well, Ride Illinois is good for that. I know we keep a log of legislation as it's going through the state legislature. The media generally reports on this stuff, but your local bike club, bike group, bike advocacy group should know all of that stuff. That's how you can stay on top of the law.
Hence the importance of local advocacy
for sure.
Groups.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, it's so as you know, Brendan, Pete and I are part of Cycle Brookfield here, which is in Brookfield, and part of our agenda, what we do either through our monthly slower rides or educational events, is to consistently teach not only the cyclists but motorists. And mostly everyone who rides a bike that I know is in a car driving to some degree as well. So it's a great opportunity to engage with them and teach them those things. But we have to stay, abreast on the topics and that. So Ride Illinois, I know is one that, it is one that's near and dear to my heart, of course, following legislation and laws there. But that's accessible to the public, the Ride Illinois information.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I'm chairman of the advocacy committee for Ride Illinois. And all of that's available to the general public. Although we would encourage anyone watching, you're welcome to join Ride Illinois, and we'll keep you up to speed on what's going on around the state.
Yeah, that's actually a good plug for Right Illinois. Become a member, support what they're doing. If you want to stay for yourself, for your own safety, for your own element of, what do I do when there's, when I'm involved in some sort of auto-related incident. Right Illinois is a fantastic resource to understand, at least what the current legislation is. I'm going to pivot just slightly, Brendan. We're going to stay a little bit on this dark element here because I think this is important. But, what should people do if they're ever in a auto bike incident? Like, what's the first thing? Assuming that they're safe and, relatively, secure. What are some tips that you can give to our viewers?
Yeah, first and foremost, make sure you're safe, you're out of danger. First and foremost, call an ambulance. Even if you feel like you're okay after a crash, understand that your adrenaline's going to be flowing, you're going to be nervous, maybe you're going to feel a little embarrassed about the whole thing, but call an ambulance, get medical care. I've seen plenty of instances where someone thought they were perfectly fine, but it turns out they weren't. So that's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is call the police because you really need a police report. I know that calling the police can be a little good and a little bad, right? You don't often get a police officer, whether it's in Chicago or in the suburbs, that is sympathetic if you're on a bike. But it's super important that you do call the police, get a police report. So there is some record that the thing you say happened actually happened, right? The other thing is if you pull your phone out, start taking pictures. Click a picture of the license plate of the vehicle. Unfortunately, a lot of people will take off after a crash. So snap a photo of that license plate, snap a photo of the bike, get names of witnesses. And in that way, you're protecting yourself, pretty well.
Got it. And then it's assuming that there's, a police show and there's, what if the driver or the motorist, peels away? Like what happens there? Is there any? That's always a fear of mine. Yeah. I'm like, I never say, if I'm in an accident, but when I'm in an accident, like that driver, that motorist is just going to peel away, and maybe I don't have time to snap a picture or remember what kind of car, make, and model it was. Is there anything that you can advise on that?
Yeah. The best way to protect yourself from getting hit by an uninsured driver is to have your own auto coverage with uninsured motorist coverage as part of your own auto policy. Not something people are aware of until this happens, but if you have auto insurance, you're on a bike, you get hit by an uninsured driver or a driver that flees the scene, you can then look to your own auto policy for uninsured motorist coverage for protection. It's, a little unsatisfying, right? Because you're not holding the driver responsible. But if you need it, at least the compensation you may need to pay for medical bills and lost wages will be there.
And pay for the bike.
Pay for the most important part, right?
No question.
Yeah. The bike just came out a lot more expensive.
Is that something that can be? I mean, I don't know. Is that something you can comment on? Like, what about the bike? I mean, that's sometimes a very expensive.
Your uninsured coverage is probably not going to cover your bike. Okay, you can if you have homeowners or renters coverage, that can cover the bike. Again, if you're dealing with an uninsured driver, someone that took off, but you don't want to use your homeowners for that if you don't need to. You kind of want to save that for when your house burns down.
Yeah, or the hailstorm and I need a new roof or something. Okay.
Right.
Well, I think all the insurance agents listening are going to be, following. They're like, well, we know a market now. We need to go. So thanks for at least now I'm calling my agent tomorrow, making sure that my policy is all good. Thank you for.
It's a dry piece of information, but an important one.
Very important. Absolutely.
Well, good. Well, Brendan, that's I really appreciate the insight there, and I know this is kind of a somber topic for this, but I think it's also very important. Tim, I know I'm going to switch gears 100% here on you. So we do. It's not the season as of right now, but you and I have been in the race circuit together. So tell us maybe a little bit about when you're not practicing law and advocating for safety out there. What else do you do on the bike? How do you have fun out there?
I just love riding my bike. I love touring. We were talking off camera before we started. 2 years ago, I did a ride from Chicago down to Starved Rock on the I&M Canal Trail. I loved that. That was just so fantastic, so chill. As you mentioned, I also race cyclocross in the fall.
Yep.
Which is a lot of fun, especially if you like getting dirty.
Yeah, this guy doesn't believe in cyclocross.
What do you mean you don't believe in cyclocross?
I believe it exists. I just don't like
You don't like suffering and getting dirty
no
on
way.
your bike? No, it's a lot of fun, and gravel racing as well is a lot of fun. I love riding my bike.
Yeah, I see you out there all the time, and I'm like, there's my other bearded friend out there, which is it's got to be at least two of us, especially if we're getting dirty. Us bearded
There's a
guys.
lot of beardos on bikes out there. Yeah.
Wow, a new term that people are going to call me now. Thank you for that. Well, Brendan, thank you for coming out today. I think it's fantastic information. Unfortunately, if you ever do need to call Brendan, and again, your card is it's on my fridge. I'm not joking.
Okay.
And that's but if you ever do need, we'll post your information for your firm on our podcast. But Brendan and his firm specializes in specifically bike related auto incidents or bike incidents, I should say. I'm saying that correctly, hopefully. And we're happy to have the content that you provide to our viewership here. Hopefully you don't have to use it, but stay safe out there. Cameras, helmets, lights. What else are we missing, Pete? How do we stay safe out there?
Reflective things.
Orange?
Lots of orange, man. Orange helmets, gloves, shoes. I got shoes.
You got orange shoes?
I do.
You're such a nerd.
Okay. Actually, I have 2 pairs.
That's even worse. Yeah. No wonder your wife is always telling you to go talk to me. Yeah. So, okay. You're such a nerd. Well, thank you everyone for joining in today. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Really solid content coming, especially as the summer months are kicking up. There's a lot of bikes on the road here, so make sure that you share this episode with anyone who rides for any level of content. And we're always happy to accept any level of comments that you have on this topic or any others.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you have ideas for shows, absolutely email us, text us, whatever.
Yeah, we're accessible.
We're very accessible.
Yeah. I see this guy all over the place. You'll find him. Look for the Gears to You van driving around all over. Hot dog stands and everything. This guy, you eat food a lot, don't you?
I do eat a lot of food.
Okay. Well, find him at your local hot dog stand. I'm sure he'll be able to fix your bike and talk to you about it as well. So, well, thanks for tuning in to the Spoken Wheel podcast. As always, I'm Chris Valadez from Cycle Brookfield.
And I'm Peter Janunas, owner of Gears to You in Riverside, Illinois. Thank you so much.
Thank you.